What's up, everyone? In this episode, it's the return of Thomas Giles. He's got a new solo EP out now called Feel Nothing. It's got some guest appearances like Alex Rudinger and Jake Howsam. You can listen to it now on thomasgiles.bandcamp.com. We talked about that album. We talked about Colors 2 with BTBAM. We talked about mental health. We talked about the pandemic. We talked about Tommy's upcoming rap album. Just kidding. It was a really great conversation. I hope you guys enjoy it. Please make sure to follow him on social media. Go to @ThomasGilesMusic on all of the things. Check out his Bandcamp so you can listen to the EP. Please subscribe down there if you haven't done it already. Hit the little bell button. And also check out our Patreon page. Go to patreon.com/RRBG. It'll be the home for all exclusive content. There's some stuff up there now, and there's a lot of stuff in the works. So go check it out and support. Cheers. Real quick shout out to Killcliff. It's going to wake me up right now because I'm still half asleep. Thank you very much. And I have a morning visitor. Hello, doggo. Go back. Come on. All right. What's up, everyone? Welcome to the RRBG podcast, and welcome back, Mr. Tommy Rogers. How you doing,
What's going
brother?
on? I'm good. You know, just it's early,
It's
like
early.
you said. But I've been up a while. My son gets me up. He's got school, so I'm up at 6 every day.
Ooh.
So. this isn't that bad. So, but too much coffee as usual. But I'm doing good. How are you?
Good. I typically go with coffee, but I cut it down to the wire this morning. I was like, I ended up staying out a little late last night and needed to get a couple extra Z's, as they say.
Good.
So you have a new EP.
I do. Yeah.
Feel Nothing. Which is what the kids say, a mood these days.
It is. Yeah, I think we all can agree that's a mood these days.
Yeah. So tell me a little bit about it. It's a little different. It feels heavier from what I heard. You know, there's a lot more drums and there's guest appearances and everything. Yeah.
Well, the weird thing about this material is it's pretty old. I wrote it. God, I mean, it was before the pandemic is when I started it. I started it on the last BTBAM tour before this all happened. So I guess that was Chon in 2019. But yeah.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Okay.
So they were songs that were just kind of started and I hadn't really done anything with. And then, I wrote my first EP and then started working on Colors 2 with the band. And then when that was done, I was like, have these songs I keep forgetting about. So I just kind of finished them up and I was done, right after Colors 2 is when I finished them. And then I kind of forgot about them. There was moments in time that I was like, oh yeah, I still haven't released that. Cause in my mind, I kind of thought that I had already done that and I hadn't. And then the end of the year was creeping around and I was like, I really wanted to get this out, in 2021. And I was just like, fuck it. I'll just put it out on my birthday. Right before the end of the year. It's like I'm self-releasing. It's not like I'm not trying to get first week numbers or anything, I was just like, I just want to get it out and have some people hear it. And yeah, like you said, it is a little more aggressive, especially the last track on it. It's a straight up metal song. Which,
kind of close to like a BTBAM. Like,
I mean,
not all the way.
The thing is, I mean, I know from the outside, it seems kind of odd, but for me, I mean, that's probably the most natural thing I can write just because that's what I've been writing for 20 plus years. It's just, I haven't really put that into my solo material, I guess.
Yeah.
But I don't know. It kind of awakened something in me where I was like, oh, maybe I want to write some more stuff like this. So
interesting.
That's kind of going around in my brain right now. So I want to do some more stuff like that. But
yeah, I mean, like you said, it's a natural, not progression, but it's a natural thing for you. I imagine it's got to be difficult when you're doing something for so long to kind of break free out of your comfort zone.
Well, that's what doing the solo material in general was in the first place. It's basically a way for me to try things and try to write songs that I never could have the opportunity to write, with the band. And just kind of step back and use it as like an experimentation tool. And there's been a lot of things I've learned and a lot of small failures within songs, I think. But overall, I'm really glad that I've done this project for the last, it's almost been 10 years now.
Yeah.
Just because it's I don't know, it's a way to try new things. And I've never really pigeonholed myself to have like a certain sound with it yet. I look at each album as kind of its own thing. So I'm still kind of trying new things. I mean, I think every year, and as I get older, I'm like, oh, I want to work on music like that, or try to write without the guitar, or write with just a guitar, or, you know, all these things that, you know, we get used, as musicians, you get used to doing things a certain way. And it's nice to step outside of that completely. And we do that a lot with the band too. I mean, I'm in no way saying that there isn't, you know, a level of experimentation and freedom in the band, because there's so much of that. And, you know, we're all, I think, very lucky to have fans that we have, and be in the band that we have, that we can literally do pretty much anything under the sun and have some sort of support there. So it's a nice feeling, because not a lot of bands get that.
Absolutely, especially bands in the genre where you started, because you know it started very death metal, and the fans for that are very particular, and they don't like to go outside of the box too much in that sense. I mean, I'm not, you know, making fun of anyone's taste.
Well, no, that's true though. I mean, and I think, I mean, I can't speak for you or anybody, but like me growing up, I had those phases where I was like, fuck everything that's not Cannibal Corpse, you know, like if somebody's singing, I wouldn't give it a chance. Or like the Beatles are playing, I'm like, I heard that growing up, it's junk, you know, and now it's like my favorite thing in the world, you know. So it's like, I think we all have to go through those moments of like being closed-minded, I guess, musically, and kind of learning to just accept music and like it for what it is. And I think overall, I think that's changed a lot. And I think people are into listening to just so many different types of music now. And I mean, I think when the band started, like you said, there was a lot of, especially in the metal scene and the hardcore scene, it was a lot of closed-minded, you know, mentality going on. I mean, even the fact that I had short hair was like a problem a lot of times on certain tours, you know, or like I didn't look like a metal front man, you know.
Right. You were wearing gauntlets.
But now that's kind of more normal, like for like dudes to just be dudes in a band, and there's not this like persona that or fucking Viking warriors or something, whatever they want. But I mean,
did you ever do corpse paint for yourself, like just at home or something? Like
I don't think I have. I don't think I have. I know our guitarist Dusty did for Halloween a few years. And Paul, I actually remember in the band we were in before BTBAM, I wasn't in it towards the beginning of that band, and they did a Halloween show when I was like 16. I went and saw them, and they all had corpse paint, and it was pretty funny, especially for Paul, because he was like this skinny, like shaved head kid back then, wearing all this corpse paint. Because that's kind of the scene we came from. We were like hardcore kids, and, you know, we grew up on, you know, all the shit that I think a lot of people my age did, like, you know, the Earth Crisis and Turmoil and the Victory Records stuff, Snapcase and all that stuff. And then we kind of discovered Cradle of Filth and Cannibal and all this stuff. And we kind of started clashing these worlds. And at that point, it was still kind of a weird thing to do, you know, and there was bands in our scene in North Carolina, like Day of Suffering, that was already kind of doing the crossover of death metal and hardcore. And it just became this thing. Like once we started BTBAM, it really, we wanted to like always not showcase the music we love, but just not be afraid to like incorporate things that not a lot of bands are incorporating. And then it slowly, like as we got older, just, you know, got insane, you know, in our music. Yeah, it evolved into what it is now. And, you know, I think that growth it's fun to be a part of and grow up doing. And it's good to see that like younger bands they just already have that mentality, which is something we had to really learn and like kind of take a risk doing. And it's cool to see that risk. You don't really have to have that risk as much as I think you used to.
Yeah. People are a little more open-minded.
They are.
I mean, to me, it took those hardcore elements actually is what took for me to get hooked on you guys. Because I remember I wasn't really that much into like death metal, like blast beats and whatnot. But the fact that you guys would throw in like what you would call breakdowns every once in a while, and that's really what drew me in. And then obviously the singing too. Yeah. But going back to, you mentioned, you know, that you were kind of an elitist in that sense. What was the band that kind of broke you out of that? To like, what was the influence that allowed you to kind of just be like, well, maybe I'm being a little snobby with my tastes?
I mean, it was probably it was in high school. I mean, right when I was, you know, not touring, but playing a lot of shows, and like kind of my small circle was growing, and I was becoming friends with people in other bands and doing all these weekend tours and stuff, and just kind of being exposed to a lot of different kinds of music. And, you know, for me, it was probably like during that era, finding bands like Faith No More, and then like I have a tendency when I get into something, I dive in heavily. So like, for example, Faith No More, it opens up all these doors, you know, because you're like, oh, Mike Patton, Mr. Bungle, you know, and then the million things he does. And I'm like, holy shit, this is like, I mean, I remember Disco Volante was just, I mean, it just opened my mind. I'm like, holy shit, this at first doesn't even sound like music, but it's such a phenomenal ride. And it almost is the same feeling I had when just, you know, listening to Tomb and Mutilated by Cannibal. You know, it's like these moments you hear something that's so new to you at that time and you've never been exposed to it. And then from there, it's just like, it's almost like a drug trying to find that next feeling of just new music. And then from there, you know, I guess everything was starting to kind of come forth, you know, and I wasn't shutting off anything anymore, you know, especially like year 2 into being in BTBAM. You know, we were just listening to so much music. Paul and I, you know, we lived together, and, you know, and he grew up on grunge and, you know, jazz. And so we were all just kind of like, you know, listening to stuff off each other, and just kind of, and the friends we had were doing the same, and it just kind of grew. And then as I got older, I started like kind of going back to things that either I never gave a chance, or like, I mean, for instance, like the Rolling Stones, I hated my whole life. And then maybe 5-6 years ago, I dove into it, and I love it now. You know, I was like, there's so much in there. I mean, there's obviously, I think any band with a huge catalog, there's stuff that you don't attach to and stuff you do. And there's so much, I mean, even like punk, like I didn't understand punk till I was in my fucking late 30s. You know, where most people, that's like you're 17. Where when I was 17, it was hardcore metal. Yeah. But for some reason, like the last maybe 5 years, it's like, oh, I'm finally like getting punk. Like I finally understand that and there's like new punk bands and cool stuff that's still happening, or even hardcore again. I mean, it's just, there's that constant search for that sound. I mean, at this point, it's hard to find something completely new, but it's just finding bands that are like, oh, they're doing something really unique, and it's cool to hear the young and new bands still doing that. So,
you know, it kind of makes sense if you think about it. The fact that you discovered punk 5 or 6 years ago, there was something that happened in society that kind of kind of brought that mentality up front. That's funny, because I told people that right when that the elections happened, I was like, well, at least we'll get some cool punk music out of it.
Yeah, everybody's gonna be angry. All the aggressive musics are gonna be sounding better than ever. So, and rap too. I mean, rap was one of those things that I mean, growing up, I had like a few albums, but nothing that I like dove into. And then maybe, it was mainly in my like mid 30s to late 30s. I really started diving into stuff that I just never would have before. And it's been fun, you know. I've really enjoyed.
Go ahead. No, go ahead.
No, I don't know. I don't even know what the fuck I was saying.
Well, I was going to say, like, as a vocalist, have you considered, like, now that you've discovered rap, have you tried to, like, freestyle or any of that?
Terrible. Yeah, absolutely terrible. Well, that's a thing, you know, as someone that writes lyrics, that's the thing I'm just blown away with. I mean, people in general just have that much to say. Because as I've gotten older and as I've worked on so much music, I'm having, you know, I get to these points where I'm like, I don't have anything to say. I feel like I've said it I've said it all. Like even when writing colors out, it was like finding new ways to kind of like bring my words to life and put into this music. It was kind of tough at moments because I mean, I would literally I have like a folder on my computer with every lyric I've ever written. And, you know, certain words I'd be writing in my lyrics. I'm like, I feel like I've used that. And I'd search it in that folder. I'm like, I've used that 6 times over my career. You know, like I need a different word here. Like I'm starting to just repeat myself. And I don't know, like to hear some of these guys and girls, you know, the lyrics are just insane and they have so much to say. And it seems like it's never ending, which I can't wrap my head around that, you know?
Yeah. Now, well, you know, you also think a lot of these, you know, hip hop and rap, they don't have the long career that you've had, and they aren't writing 15, you know, minute songs, like you guys are doing. But you know, that's an interesting thing. You bring that up. I was, you know, a vocalist in my band, and I you know, write a lot of lyrics and stuff, but I definitely feel what you've said. Like you run out of things to say, and
yeah,
your life, you know, usually when you're younger, you have more to say. You're kind of struggling, trying to find yourself, you know, trying to discover life, meaning of life, and all that stuff. But once you get to a certain point in your life, and like you said, what do you got to say? And your life is, you know, usually if you're a successful musician, your life is a little more comfortable now. You've got a family, you've got a house, whatever it may be, and you kind of, you know, what are you going to talk about? How awesome the Netflix show you watched was, and with your family.
Yeah.
So where do you draw, like, where do you go aside from your own, like you said, the folder of lyrics? Like, is there anything that you go to kind of inspire different words? Like, are there books that you read? Like for me, for example, what really did it for me was this author called Mark Z. Danielewski, who's like a poet basically. And I would read his stuff and it would really like make stuff pop in my head. So, was there anything that you go to try and draw inspiration for that?
Yeah. I mean, I'm trying to think of specifics. I mean, it definitely, it's constantly changing. And it's one of those things I always try to keep, you know, I have a notes folder in my phone where things kind of strike. I write down ideas and I always am kind of adding to that. And I don't read a whole lot, honestly. You know, for me, it's more either like movies, sometimes prompt stuff. I've been, this is kind of corny, but I've been a subscriber to Wired magazine for like 15 years. And it's always been, there's always stories that like give me ideas. And there's always just really interesting articles and it's really well written. And it's kind of been like a tool I've always used, even not really on purpose. It's the only magazine I've ever really read. And I'm just trying to think, man. I mean, other bands' lyrics, especially older musicians, you know, even reading biographies and, you know, I have the new Paul McCartney lyric book, you know, just all these things. Like I have a Jim Morrison lyric, like poetry book that, you know, sometimes I break out every once in a while to kind of skim through. Yeah, it's nothing, there's nothing I really go to. It's just things kind of just pop into my life or pop into my head as I'm working on stuff. And it's weird. A lot of times I think, I mean, as you write music, I think a lot of times when we're working on something, if there's a small idea, even when we leave it there, you're constantly thinking about how that can evolve. Even if it's like subconscious, like in the shower, you know, driving your kid to school or, you know, it's always kind of brewing. And I think that space you leave gives it new life and makes it become something bigger. And that's like that with lyrics as well. Like if I get stuck somewhere, I just kind of let it be. And normally I'll just be doing like normal life tasks and little, you know, doing the dishes and making coffee and shit. And sometimes like during those moments is when I do a lot of thinking and you know, it kind of brings something that I'm stuck on, some new life. And it's like that with music as well. I think just finding that space, that's like a big thing I learned over the years, is not trying to really, like, when you get stuck, don't just keep cramming, just give it some time, and it will like work itself out.
Yeah.
And somehow it kind of always does, even when you think it's impossible.
Always be writing, as a
yeah, exactly.
Even when you're doing the dishes, like you said, always be writing.
Well, that's the thing I think people don't understand is when you're like in an album, especially like for Colors 2 example. I mean, that was one of the most labor intensive albums we've ever written, just because it was so dense. There was so much going on. We were writing a lot of music really quickly, and there was so much music that we wrote that didn't even make the album. And those ideas and that music is in your head literally 24/7. Mm-hmm. And it sometimes can become a problem. Sometimes it's hard to like step outside of that and be a husband or be a father or, feed my cats or, all these things that, you're just constantly like stuck in this wormhole of these songs and just making them perfect. And I think that's why the band works so well together is I think we're all kind of like that. So we're all constantly just tweaking in our brains. And then when we get together, it's, we all have these ideas, like we can do this and this and this, and it moves fast. So
how conscious are you, or I mean, how much focus do you put when you're writing? Do you feel that whole thing about the muse, that it's hitting you like even myself, I felt that a lot of the stuff I've written isn't even me. Like when I go back and listen, I'm like, what was that?
Yeah.
So do you look into that? I mean, I know that you definitely focus a lot on like mental health topics with your solo albums and stuff.
Yeah. I mean, a lot of times it's weird. I mean, a lot of times you literally just are writing and you're not really even aware that you're writing, like both lyrics and music. I mean, there's days that music just happens so quickly and you don't even think about it. And then there's days where it's like the biggest chore in the world. And it's like that with lyrics too. Like sometimes I sit down to write and it's just because I'm feeling creative. It's not like I'm like, all right, I have to write right now. Sometimes I'm like, all right, I think this can be a good day. And you sit down and you just write and write and write and write. And it becomes something really special. And you don't even really remember writing it. You don't even sometimes remember what you were thinking. And I think that's a really interesting thing that I think a lot of musicians experience. And it's hard to explain to somebody who doesn't have a creative job or a job where that can happen. But it is weird, especially in like a interview situation where like, what were you thinking during this song? Like sometimes it just kind of happens and it's hard to explain that, and it's cool. I mean, for instance, speaking of the new EP, the Echo Chamber song, the metal song, the way I wrote it is I had Rudy, the drummer. I was like, just send me a bunch of random beats. Like just send me, fuck off and record it and just send me something at a certain tempo. And he sent me a bunch of different ideas. And I basically built this skeleton of a song off his drum beats. And I remember, I sat in the back of the bus. I was on tour, and I was just writing riffs to this like song that I mapped out, and it was maybe 30, 40 minutes, and it just kind of happened. And I don't really remember like ever being like, shit, what should I do here? I was just kind of letting it all out, and it wasn't perfect. I mean, it was kind of a mess. And then I guess 2 years or at least later, I sat down with it and started tweaking the riffs and making a little more, song-like, I guess. But, it was just
fine-tuning.
Fine-tuning. And, it's just cool that you get in those moments where the things just kind of flow out of you, Do
you think about what that is? Like, where do you think that's coming from? If you were to guess, if you were just to be like this.
I think a lot of it's instinct. I think a lot of it's because of my majority of my life has been surrounded by music outside of, just being what normal humans do, I guess, just doing normal shit. But yeah, I mean, like I don't really have hobbies. It's just I've always listened to music. I've always worked on music. I've always, since the first day I got a guitar when I was young, I had this like there was something in me that wanted to write, not just learn. I remember trying to write my own songs right when I started playing guitar.
Wow.
Like it was all junk, but there was something about, like, I think some people, it's like, I just want to learn other people's stuff. For me, there was something about like creating something from nothing that was always exciting. And then as I actually got a little better at it, it became not a drug or anything, but it was something I still really enjoy. I mean, and that payoff at the end of all the hard work, it's like, oh, I mean, Colors too, for instance, we've put it out the 21st year of being a band. And I mean, it was probably one of the most rewarding albums for me, as far as like listening back to it and just being proud of something, So it's cool that, I'm still experiencing that feeling, like it's not going away, which, certain feelings of, the music business and things I do in my life kind of do go away from time to time. So I'm glad that aspect of it is still there, and I still seek that.
Yeah, what an endeavor too, man! Bringing out a sequel to an album that some would argue is your most successful one, in terms of popularity and whatnot.
Yeah.
And the expectations that come with that, everyone's like, well, it's got to be better than the first one, right? Like, it's got to be quite an endeavor, I would say.
Yeah, I mean, there was that small moment of time where I can't speak for everyone, but I was definitely nervous. Like, is this going to be the right move for us? But like I was saying earlier, it's just like once we started writing and things were happening fast, and it was really good from the get-go. Like there was a lot of direction, and we were very focused and in line with one another where the music was going without even really talking about it. Mm-hmm. And I think because of that, it felt like very early on that I was like, oh, this is going to really work. This is going to be a special album. And I think, our circumstances at that time it really kind of got our, ass in gear and like made us work harder than we normally do,
Yeah.
So,
so I saw that there was like 15 different variants of the vinyl.
Yeah.
Is that a band decision, or is that is that a label decision?
It's normally between me and the label.
Okay.
Yeah, we wanted to, just like every band's dealt with this year or the last couple of years, we wanted to just go full out, and just because one thing we did notice over the pandemic is how much our fan base has gotten into vinyl and different variants and stuff, because we repressed all our old material and remixed them. And yeah, there was so much demand for it. And, we're like, let's just go all out with this album. We could do, the artwork is, there's so many color options. And, the artist at Sumerian that deals with the vinyl stuff, he did just a phenomenal job. I got to work with him kind of getting it all together. And then the fucking every vinyl plant in the world got backed up, and and we still haven't even, luckily first pressings all got out. There was a delay, and just like everybody's dealt with, but we're still waiting on second pressings right now, which hopefully any day. I'm waiting on estimate times right now for that. So, but yeah, it's something that I don't know. It's one of those things that I think really become. There's like a small family amongst collectors in our fan base that really loves that stuff, and it's cool to see. So
yeah, I collect vinyl myself. I couldn't I thought about it. I have a friend who did, but I was like, I can't poke him on this.
Yeah,
I don't need 15 copies of Colors.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah,
which it's crazy, and I've purposefully not dove down that rabbit hole of vinyl yet. I have a small collection, but for that reason, I'm just, I can't do it, because I know from my past of growing up and just being, because I was I heavily collected CDs and box sets and stuff growing up, and then as you get older and you move a bunch, you're just like, this is a pain in the ass to have all this stuff. And especially when I moved away. Yeah, exactly. And then so as I'm older, I'm like, I just don't need to go down that road. But maybe when I'm for real old, I'll do it. Who knows?
For real old.
For real old.
Well, especially in California, man. That's one thing that freaks me out all the time. I think about it. I'm like, if there's an earthquake, I gotta have like a box of my favorite records that I could just grab and throw it in the car and not worry about the other ones.
Yeah.
Yeah, but it's pretty nuts. I'm glad my pressing came out good too, because that's another thing I noticed through the pandemic. Aside from the delays in the plants, like there's been some sloppy vinyl coming out.
Dude, we had one that was a little sloppy, and of course it was the band variant, which sucks because that's on us, you know.
Yeah.
But yeah, it was a blue one, and it's cool because it just was really dark, and you really couldn't get the blue. You know, the mock-ups were so cool and so different, and so I don't know. I mean, I guess I get it. I mean, you're thinking about there's actual, you know, singular people doing these things, you know.
Yeah.
It's like they're
always done by hand. It's not a giant machine.
Yeah, there's going to be error, you know, and especially with the last few years they've had, I can't imagine the backup. So
now going back to the solo thing a little bit, have you thought about touring with it?
I mean, it's always been something that I've considered. It's always in the back of my head, you know, like, should I do it? You know, I did a few shows early on, like right after the first album. I mean, it was cool. You know, the thing with me is that I have to get a band together. I have to, you know, it's a lot on my personal shoulders. Financially as well. Like, can I make enough to make the tour happen, make it worth my time, and pay these people to come on tour with me? Because that's the last thing I want to do is to, you know, for me to just take advantage of people and be like, come play with me, you'll get per diem every night, you know, like we're fucking grown, we're adults, we don't,
you'll get exposure.
Yeah, it's like we're adults, we don't tour like that anymore. So I mean, so I don't know, the timing, I guess I'm just kind of scared, I guess. I don't know. At some point, maybe I'll just go for it and see what happens, but I don't know. And it's, I mean, the band still tours a lot, and I'm not, you know, I'm not trying to leave more than I have to.
How was that for you? I mean, BTBAM was the first tour I saw, the first show I saw post-pandemic.
Yeah.
Here in LA, and it was, you know, I cried, not because of, you know, obviously your music's emotional and whatnot, but it was just, I literally had a mental breakdown during the pandemic where I thought live shows were just done. Like, this is not happening ever again. Yeah. And so being able to go there, like the first song, I think it was Astral Body, I was just standing there like, oh, I'm back.
We're the show.
Yeah.
It was weird, man. There was a lot of, for me, it was just a lot of mixed emotions, and it was hard for me. That tour was really hard for me because on one hand, it was like a celebration of our whole career. You know, it was like a 20th anniversary. You know, we played 2 sets. I mean, it was just this huge undertaking for us, and it's been postponed, I think, 3 times. I think it was booked like 8 times or something crazy.
Jeez. Yeah,
I mean, it was something insane, but at the same time, it was hard to be comfortable. It was hard, like every day, you know, we were nervous. I mean, I'm speaking for myself. I didn't feel right walking around. I didn't feel right going out. I've just kind of hunkered down in the bus and not inside the clubs. But on stage, it was hard for me to like not think about what the fuck was going on, you know? And I know some people, that's no problem. Like, they're just like, I'm in it. This is what I do. But for me, like, physically performing felt natural. Like, the second I got on stage, I was like, oh, this is what I do, you know? But mentally, I was constantly kind of struggling with, should I be here? Like, are people getting me sick? Am I getting people sick? Like, is this irresponsible? Like, I don't know, all these things. And then on the business side of things, you know, when you're on tour every single day, you're like, all right, we got through it. Hopefully tomorrow we get through it, because if we don't, we're going to lose a lot of money, you know? Yeah.
It was a challenging tour. I mean, I know Dusty was hurt.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, Dusty was hurt, and that started literally the day before tour.
Yeah, so that's got to be so frustrating to be it was really dying to go on tour, and then all of a sudden, second show in,
Yeah, and especially, you know, because we prepared so much for this tour because it was so much material and we hadn't been playing. So it's like, I think individually we're like, we really gotta be top notch, ready to go. So there was so much preparation. And then for him, especially to prepare all that time and then for that to happen, it was definitely a terrible moment for him. But yeah, I mean, he got through it and, you know.
You endured. I mean, you finished the tour. I know that even at the end of the tour, I believe Dan got sick, right?
Yeah, he did, which was, yeah, we had 2 or 3 more shows. Yeah, it was crazy. And in typical BTBAM fashion, we found a solution, made it work, and it was, you know, it worked out. You know, he recorded his bass tracks in a hotel, and we literally threw him into a session, and it was him playing, you know, live with us on stage. So it was crazy. It was cool.
You should have done the Meshuggah thing and put a cardboard cutout.
I know we actually talked about that, but there was so many little things going on those few days. It just didn't happen. We talked about it though.
So how are you at now? Like mentally, where are you at in terms of, you know, everything that's going on and being on the road? And, you know, like I said, I mentioned earlier, your solo project does bring up a lot of, you know, mental health issues, at least for me. I don't know if I'm, you know, picking up on the vibes wrong, but it's something that I've come to terms with in the last couple of years during this pandemic thing. Is just, how am I treating myself internally? You know, because when I was younger, I was a maniac and just jumping off stages and doing all sorts of things. And now I'm like, is all of that starting to catch up with me, or is it really that bad that the world is, you know, in such disarray that's why I'm thinking about all these things?
Yeah, I mean, I think we're all like in these little bubbles, you know, and it's like society feels weird to me now. Like, I mean, I can't speak for everybody, but I mean, it's tough for me. I mean, I've always kind of been weird around like huge crowds, but I mean, I've like conditioned myself to just be weary of human beings. And I think it's such a weird thing for that to be the case. I don't know how to get better at that. It's not like I want to force myself to go out and like fucking party or something.
Right.
But yeah, I mean, I'm definitely like stuck in my ways with just being home, you know, with my family and working on music and, you know, doing just the normal life stuff. And touring is just, it's still scary to me. You know, we have a tour next month and, you know, who knows if it's going to happen, you know, I hope it is, you know, we're still, you know, I just posted something right before this interview. It's like, we're promoting this tour, but it still feels weird being like, there's still uncertainty, you know? And I think, especially after what we all went through, and as musicians, we saw how quickly things can just go away. That there's I don't know if that fear of things just getting canceled or I don't know if that's going to go away anytime soon. Even if things do get quote unquote a lot better, I think there's always going to be that worry of this ending at any moment.
Yeah. But I think go ahead. No, you go ahead.
Well, I think just overall as humans, we all kind of, you know, there's been so much death, and death has almost become like I mean, it's always been normal, but I think we're so exposed to it the last few years that I think just the end happening is something that we're all just, it's an option at any moment, I think. And I think that's scary, man. You know, and I think every generation deals with that, and throughout history, I'm sure there's always situations like that where, you know, as a society, you're kind of stuck with that fact. But yeah, I don't know. I mean, I think like everyone, I have really good days, really bad days. I don't know. And I just try to get better with it. And I just think part of it, like I'm 41 now, I'm always like, just with the state of the music industry, it's a scary thing when your job is music and your sole income is doing music. Yeah. Because I'm like, if this goes away again, what am I going to do? Like this is all I've done, you know, since I was 17 years old. Like, I don't.
Got to become a TikToker, man.
Yeah. It's true. It's true. I got too much gray hair for that.
Oh, well, you got kids, just put the kids in there, and then the dogs or cats, whatever. It doesn't really matter. TikTok is all fluff.
Be like one of those bubbly people. Like, oh
yeah, totally.
That's me. Yeah,
but to bring a little positivity into that thought process, is that we've been through it now.
Yeah,
like we went through the lockdown and everything went away, but then it came back, sort of. But I feel that we will be stronger in terms of dealing. If it happens again, I think we'll be stronger in that sense of like, well, we've been here. We know what we got to do.
That's a good point. Yeah. And I definitely, it's weird. I have regret during the like looking back, I have regret of how I felt during the lockdown, because I think there was so much fear of like a financial disaster. I think that was the big fear. It's like, shit, am I going to be able to pay rent? Am I going to, all these things, like support my family and all this, but everything turned out okay. I wish I could have like enjoyed that moment, but like, shit, I don't have to, I can relax. I can spend time with the people I love. I can do some things I didn't have time to do before. Like, but in reality, the stress of what I was dealing with at that moment, it kind of never let me really realize that. Looking back, I'm like, man, I wish I would have just kind of accepted it and been a little more happy about it.
Yeah. I mean, but it's understandable, man. What a crazy situation we went through,
Yeah.
And could, potentially go through again if things don't let up. But yeah, I mean, I had a moment of, like I said, the moment of panic with the shows. Like I was watching a live stream. I've said this before on the show, but I was watching Tesseract's live stream, and I was like, this is it. This is shows from now on. This is live music now. Yeah, and it was really sad. And even earlier on in the pandemic, like I really didn't take it seriously in the beginning. I was like, it's no big deal. We'll be fine. Like my wife was panicking, and I'm like, calm down. It'll be okay. Yeah. And then I started going to like do groceries and noticing that there's no food. And I was like, oh no, wait.
This is real.
But yeah, I mean, I think that I think we're moving in a positive direction in terms of being able to deal with it, hopefully. And hopefully, shows shouldn't be canceled. I think there are workarounds, get some quick rapid testing at the venue, everybody's got to be vaccinated or whatever. And I know that's a hot topic and all that, but there are ways that we can go around having our live shows safely, I think.
Yeah.
And we're figuring it out.
Yeah, I think that's what's going on right now. But like I said, it's just tough to not have the fear of just things going away again. And I think we will all deal with that for a long time. But hopefully, I mean, this was all a big learning experience, and will continue to be. And 10 years we'll look back and we all grew from it somehow. So
yeah, and I mean, you're a creative, and I know that if it came down to it, you would figure something out to do that would generate, like, for example, things that I've noticed, like lyric books. You can put out lyric books. You've got tons of lyrics, and I saw you guys did do live streams, but that's something that more people should be doing. I think, I know Blake's been really good at doing the live streaming thing, but if it's a source of income and it keeps you afloat and doing what you love, then I mean, I feel that, it's fine. We'll adapt,
Yeah. It's always there's always solutions to everything, but yeah, overall we're in a good place. We're getting ready for this tour. I'm spending the year trying to write. I'm gonna start writing some new music for a new solo record, and we're just kind of going 1 year at a time, which we always have done. I think we've as a band we plan ahead as much as you plan ahead for touring and all that, but as far as goals, we've never been like, all right, in 5 years we're going to do this. We've always been a band that's in the moment, and I think because of that, we've conditioned ourselves to be able to handle situations like this, pretty well, because we have always kind of just been in the moment and dealt with things as they come. So yeah, I mean, I think we'll continue to, whatever happens, and we'll make the best of it and try to make good decisions for us and our fans. So
Awesome, man. You mean, are you writing? So you're writing for the solo thing. Have
Yeah.
you guys started talking about writing for BTBAM's follow up?
No, we haven't talked about it yet. I mean, normally with the band, it's not a long, dragged out like process. It's normally when we're ready, and we all sit down, and that's what we do. You know, it's not a very gradual thing. Our albums actually happen pretty fast.
Nice.
So yeah, we'll see. I'm excited to write again, but as after every album, I think I deal with this every album. It's like, what the hell are we gonna do? Like, what's the next step?
Yeah.
Like every time we write a record, I'm like, that record was great. We're never gonna be able to write a good song again. and then there's another record. I'm like, I like that one even better. Cool.
Yeah.
We're never gonna be able to write a song again. So that's where I am right now. I'm like, we'll never be able to write a good record again. What are we gonna do? But nah, it will happen. I mean, we work really well together, and it's still fun to write with one another. So
that's important, and that's really good to hear.
Yeah.
So for the next solo album, I should expect, you know, since you like going outside of the box, rap song.
I have no idea yet. I mean, I have a lot of ideas like mapped, but I don't know where it's gonna go.
Well, I'm telling you, we need a rap song.
If that's fine, but it won't be me doing vocals.
No, you got it, man. You got to try it out. A booty song. I know we talked about this last time. So booty, a rap, and then also we need to have a punk song. You got to have a punk song. No. I think that's all what we've gotten out of this interview.
Challenge accepted.
But yeah, no. So everybody that's watching and listening, please go check out Feel Nothing. It's fantastic. And you know, the one that came out the year before, Feel Better, was also fantastic. Are you planning on maybe combining these into a vinyl at some point?
I'm actually in the process of doing that, and it's going to take like 700 years or whatever until it's.
I'll pre-order it now, and it'll arrive in like 4 or 5 years.
Well, see, that's the thing. Like, because I was very hands-on with all the BTBAM stuff, I've gotten so against the pre-order thing now because I hate how the delay is. So part of me is just like, I'm getting it together, and when I get it in my hand, I'll be like, it's out here. You can buy it. So that's probably what I'll do. Yeah. Unless I mean, right now they're looking at like still 5-6 months out.
Oh, I'm still waiting on like 3 records that, I mean, I don't have my Mastodon's new record I ordered.
Oh, really?
I haven't gotten that. I haven't gotten the new Converge record that I pre-ordered. I mean, I've given up, but whenever it shows up, I don't really care. I'm listening to it whenever I can online,
I mean, that's the cool thing. And luckily most people understand that is like the music's there. It's just, you know, and it's a collecting thing, you know, it's a tangible thing to have.
Right.
It will get there. But yeah, it's crazy how the delays are still, and it's because there's only a few companies that do it on a major scale.
Yeah.
Like it's crazy.
Well, I appreciate you coming back on, man.
Yeah, man. Thank you.
Big fan, as I've told you before, and you know, I'm glad that over the years I've gotten to know all of you and hang out and see shows and everything. So I definitely will be at the next show
awesome.
Here in LA or around Southern California. Everyone, like I said, everyone that's watching and listening, go listen to Feel Nothing. Go to the shows when you're on tour, because like we were discussing, we never know when it's the last one, right?
Yeah,
so
I know.
Do it.
Yep. It'll be cool. We're doing a 90-minute set, which is crazy. But yeah, it's a good set.
So about 4 songs? No,
yeah, about 4.
Okay. All right, man. Well, thanks again, and you know, we'll be in touch. Hopefully I'll see you when you guys come out here again.
Awesome.
All right, man. Have a good one.
You
Take
too.
care.
Thank you. Bye.